Okay, to shoot stuff, you just need a camera, period. That's it. And if you have a phone, you have a camera. Let's face it, that's how it is. You can get a free editing app for whatever it is you use. It'll probably come with a watermark, which is going to be a symbol or whatever. That's going to be on the screen. That's not a huge deal. People act like, oh, it's some kind of world ender. It's not, especially if you're brand new to stuff. It really doesn't matter, okay? But honestly, there's tutorials on whatever you want to use. You come up with a basic outline for a story. You can shoot everything yourself. You don't even need any actors or anything like that. You can do it all 100% yourself. There you go. I could just stop the whole conversation there. I'm not going to. So there's free audio recording stuff as well for phones and all that. So you can just record audio for background or whatever to add audio in. It's not a huge deal. There's free ones all over the place for anything you want to use. So with just what you're probably watching this on, you can do everything yourself right now. If you're using something that's low quality or whatever, in your opinion, just shoot it in black and white. If the colors aren't what you're looking for, switch to black and white, you're golden. If you're using multiple cameras or your phone, somebody else's phone for a different angle or however the hell you do it, guess what? Black and white will make it possibly less glaring that it was different cameras. It just is what it is. So, like I said before, you just need a basic idea. You don't need to make something that's an hour long, hour and a half long. You can make something that's a minute, that's 5 minutes, 3 minutes, however long. With dialogue, stuff is usually a little bit longer. I'm just going to tell you. I did my last one that I put out. It's like 16 minutes. And it's me talking a lot, but it works for what it is. It's a mockumentary, so another thing you can do, this is what I do, right through editing. What I mean by that is I'll shoot something as soon as it's shot. I'll put it in the editing app. I'll cut the beginning and end off. Whatever I don't need. And then I'll place it where I want it to be. If there's... What I mean by that, sometimes I'll place it between stuff I've already shot, and if so, place it where it needs to go. If not, then I will put it basically where it needs to go, meaning there's going to be something before it later on that I'm probably going to shoot next, something like that. That way I can tell which way the story's going. And if I have stuff, there might be stuff that I didn't think of where it's like, okay, this can go here, this can go there. Makes it real fast. And honestly, it saves me from a lot of editing choices later on. It saves me from a headache because once the shooting's done, basically everything's done. Unless if I have to do some voiceover or something like that. So, and with what I use InShot, there is a way to get around the watermark. Now, I did pay for it at one point, right? I no longer pay for it. But I had stuff saved from before, or stuff in the works from before that lapsed, and I no longer have the subscription, right? But when I use those, I no longer have the watermark. So, whatever I'm going to do, I'm just going to use those specific ones that I have open. That means I can only work on a few projects at the same time. And that works for me. You know what I'm saying? You don't need any actors. You don't need any acting experience. And everything I have put out so far, it's just been me, the dog, and one of them has my brother for about 2 seconds. That's it. So, you don't need a bunch of actors or locations, anything like that. I did use 2 cameras for for the last one I did, for hard. I used this phone and then this, which I got for like $45, maybe cheaper. quite a while ago, but I'm not saying you want a camera, need a camera, or anything else. You can do everything just with the phone like I have for the most part. There's nothing wrong with that. The reason that I pulled this out is because I was answering questions I had written down, and one time I was casting from the phone to the TV so I could see it real easy. Another time I was just using the phone. So the questions were on there, I was able to flip through, made it real easy. So with that, I couldn't necessarily, use this to film when I'm using it for something else. So I used this. Now, the thing with this camera is it does have changeable lenses. The one it comes with is the one that's on it, and this is a kind of telephoto type. See what I'm saying? So it's one that you kind of need room for. Depending on the situation, I think for that one I set it about 5 feet back. But yeah, there are different lenses and stuff you can use for it, but you don't need a camera like this to be able to shoot anything, okay? While I'm doing this, I'll just go through the camera stuff real quick. So that's one extreme, right? That's the battery and charger for that one. Alright. Now this. Camcorders are great, but I haven't been able to use this one for actually filming. I've tried. For some reason it won't record. So for the Vivitar 4K, I would not suggest it for resale for cheap, because I'm honestly probably going to have to toss this one. But it is easy to move, easy to handle. You don't have to worry about dropping it as much to the list, so it is an option. Real easy to use. Extremely easy. Alright. That there. Where is my last camera? Not there, not there. I got one more. Where's that zipper? I always forget the zippers on this. Here it is. And then there's a drone as well. The thing with the drone is it has a wide angle lens. So that means it's going to catch a lot more. So that's not a bad thing. It all depends on what you're trying to use it for. But this thing can fly and all that too. Just know if you are going to use something like this for flying that there are wind currents. If you're using the house or anything like that, there's going to be air currents because leaks, everything else. That's something to keep in mind. But this thing doesn't need to be in the air to be able to work as a camera. Now, if I'm using this, I have an app on the phone where I get to monitor and all that, and I record it right onto the right onto the phone, right? So, if I'm using this and I want a second camera, guess what? I'm gonna have to use someone else's phone, something like that, or the other camera I have. So that's something to keep in mind. But options, right? All right. Two cameras, just go that. One location can look like many. All you have to do is change the background, change the chair, change the painting on the wall. There is one. Stuff like that, it goes a long way. You got a table that isn't usually in that area, bring it over in that area, especially if it's a small one, something like that. It's not hard to set something up. You can set something up in the corner, have it be like, okay, right here, that's one location, over here's one location, and all you do is you keep what shows it to be another location out of frame. That's it. It's not hard. Depending on what kind of area you're using, one room could be a bunch of different sets. Alright? We cover the upside and downside. Okay, overshoot. What that means is shoot more than what you need. That's what I always try to do. That way, whenever I edit, and that's something when I chop something, I have some wiggle room, and it's always gonna start with, you know, something in action or something like that, right? It just makes it a lot easier. It's better to have too much than too little and be able to chop it down, because you can't really. Hopefully, you get what I'm saying. Just overshooting is good, and people do it all the time for a reason, right? Guerrilla filmmaking is an option. That means making stuff without permission. It happens all the time. People on YouTube do it all the time. They'll go shoot stuff in the streets. They don't have anyone's permission. They don't have okay, anything else. It's not a big deal. It used to be a huge deal. Now it's pretty much nothing. Go and do it. You know what I'm saying? Free stock footage does exist. Just Google it, however you look stuff up, and you'll be able to find some. I used 2, and let me think. Which one was that? So You Want to Be a Killer, I used 2. And then in the last one I used a few. Actually quite a few. The black and white, that was me. Stuff I shot, but there's plenty of stuff in there that I did not as well. So yeah, as far as basics for making movies, stuff like that, I just covered way too much. But yeah, honestly, you can just do it yourself. There's really no rules to all this. Oh, another thing you don't necessarily need, but I have just because I'm an audio guy too, musician and all that. Got this thing for dirt cheap. It's a recorder. This is a mic. Can even plug into a camera, possibly. All that, so that's not a huge deal. If you use a camera, you can do it. If not, you can. It has a card. You can just take the card out, put it on the computer, whatever, and get the audio off it to be able to use, right? So, say somebody's way too far away, your mic on your camera won't pick it up, you can hide this out of the way. Not saying you need to, but it's just an option. You know what I'm saying? Personally, I haven't used this for anything that I put out yet. And the only reason I've used that other one is because, you know, no one was around at the time. I couldn't borrow a phone. I do like cameras and stuff like that. I always have. So, yeah, there you go.